play. Mini War Gaming's Beat Map Batrep.
Welcome back to Beat Map Batrep Episode 9. This is Dark Eldar vs. Tyranids Round 2. Entering Dark Eldar Turn 2. Now you saw in the first turn they were able to sit at a distance and pick off one of the Termagants. We're going to see how they're going to respond now to the hordes of Termagants approaching their lines of warriors. So you can see he's moving up to prepare to engage, moving his Ravagers around to get better shots, and he knows the two Termagants that can birth are now the biggest threats, so he's obviously going to want to focus more of his fire on them so they don't continue birthing more Termagants, at least as much as he can help. His Hellions are moving up. They have hit and run, so he could jump in, do some damage, and then jump out if he really wanted to, but we'll see. These guys move through their cover, get in position, getting ready to attack those Termagants who are invading right there. So first off, we have some flame weapons being shot down. These things have variable AP. If he rolls a d6 and he gets a 1 or 2, then he gets AP 1 or AP 2, which ignores their feel no pain. Then he rapid fires the bejeebies out of this group of Termagants here and just kills them. More flame templates over here on these guys, taking out more of the Termagants. Then he starts to target down the Termagant, who's out in the open and not in cover, hoping to kill it, bring it down to 3 wounds, targeting it again, hoping to bring it down even further, and only manages to get it down to 2 wounds. So now he's going to fire at the Trigon and see if he can take down some wounds there. He manages to take out 1 wound of it, firing at it with the other one, and manages another wound. So he's down to 4 out of his 6 wounds, so he's still pretty healthy there. But then he's going to target it with his with some of his warriors and see if he can cause a couple more wounds to occur there. And now he's going to attack these guys from afar. They're not going to be able to do rapid fire, but there's still 19 of them, I believe, and there's some heavy weapons in there, so he's got a good amount of firepower there when he stands still. And doesn't manage to do very many wounds, only takes out 3 of them, so those guys are surviving pretty well. Now the Hellions are opening fire on some Termagants, hoping to soften them up before they charge in so they can win the combat really easily, and they do manage to take out a couple. I tried to remove the ones that were closest, but wasn't far enough away, so he was still able to get in his charge with his Hellions. So they're jumping in here, and we'll see what happens after that. So I'm reacting then to his charge. The Hellions are pretty hard-hitting, but they're also pretty fragile at toughness 3, so we'll see what happens. So he targets me first, manages to kill a bunch of my Termagants. You can see I'm not really going to have much to hit back with. And then I believe this is the champion Hellion or whatever it's called. He kills a couple more. So I get 3 attacks back. Actually managed to hit with all 3 and wound with a couple of them. And he loses one of his guys. He wins combat. I'm fearless. I take some extra wounds, but I feel no pain saves them all from dying. And so he's going to hit and run. He manages to do it. He gets to move 17 inches away, so he just runs right away from my last 2 Termagants. That way he's not tied up in combat. That's very smart, because the Trigon could have charged in there, and that would have been the end of those Hellions. So it's now my turn to see if I can make something happen. First off, rolling for reserves. The Gene Stealers don't come in, but the Doom of Malantide does. Now I have an opportunity right here if he lands, but it scatters back 11 inches, because he needs to be within 6 inches in the shooting phase, and unfortunately he's too far away, because that would have been a perfect spot right in there. But unfortunately he did not do that. Termagant spawns 8 Termagants, but rolls a double in the process, so that's the end of that Termagant, or that Termagant spawning. He casts Feel No Pain on the squad behind him, who will be moving up, and then he moves up. The other one also spawns 8 Termagants and also rolls doubles. So the 2 of them actually did pretty good overall. It's just that they didn't bring up the average that much of the other Termagants, especially the one that died right away. And he gives Feel No Pain to this group right in front of him. And then, of course, they all move up, and they're going to engage this group of warriors and try to get revenge for them moving up and rapid-firing their squad of Termagants. And this should go pretty well, because I have a lot of guys to shoot and then assault, but we'll see what happens. All my Termagants are moving up. I can't really run them if I want to charge, because they do not have fleet, so I'm hoping to be able to get into range of his racks and be able to shoot at them and then charge in. All my monstrous creatures move up, of course. And they give Feel No Pain to the Trigons, and I wasn't really thinking when I did this. I forgot that the weapons from the Ravagers are AP2, so they ignore Feel No Pain, so those are the main weapons that would be firing at them. So it's kind of a waste of Feel No Pain that I gave it to both the Trigons rather than to my Termagants. So that was a bit of a mistake there. We'll see how much that costs me in the future. And then all the Termagants on my left side moving up to engage his left flank as well. I'm starting to dwindle in numbers on this side because I didn't have so many spawning with these 2 Turbogons. I'm only within 6-inch range of the Rax, and they roll their leadership test just fine, so he's not going to be able to suck any brains out today. So he just runs and moves up so he can get within range of everybody else and hope the next round he can do it. The Termagants start firing like orcs. I can't roll a 4+ to save my life in this round. And so they really don't manage to do hardly any wounds. And then he manages to save most of them, so he only loses 2 guys from all that firing. So I take a shot with my Turbogon, hoping to take down some more. Get a good 3 solid hits in, and 3 wounds. But of course he gets his Feel No Pain, and he makes 2 out of 3 of them, so he only loses 1 more guy. So my other Turbogon decides he's going to add to the fray as well. And he misses most of his shots, and then fails to wound. So unfortunately that was it for that shooting. These Termagants are going to engage the Rax, so they fire as much as they can. 4+ to wound, and then he gets cover and Feel No Pain and manages to save it all. The Spore Pod engages with his Lash Whippy thingies, the Assault 6, Strength 6 weapon, and he manages to make a lot of his saves, but he also loses a couple guys, so they did not survive all there. And I keep firing with my Termagants. Termagants hopefully can start to do some damage, but didn't do any damage there. The Trigon's firing into a large group of warriors, actually manages to roll really well, do a bunch of wounds, and he rolls really badly for his Feel No Pain, and actually loses quite a few of these warriors. And so, starting to see my guys move in and start to take out his guys, hoping that the Swarm will finally be able to overtake him. I roll, and I roll lots of 1s, 2s, and 3s, which are all misses, only manage to kill 1 or 2 Hellions there. And fire into these warriors just to see if I can take out some, because I know I'm too far away. Get a lot of good hits in, and even some wounds, but they do all have Feel No Pain, and he makes 3 out of 4 of them, so only loses 1 guy. And then take some pot shots at the Hellions, miss one of them, and fail to wound with the other one. And then of course the last Trigon's going, or the Turbogon's going to fire, and he doesn't do anything really to the Hellions except manage to kill one of them, and he fails his save, and so he loses 1 more Hellion there. Now my Termagants are all charging in, hoping to take over these warriors before they can hit back really hard, because obviously you can hit rapid fire range of Dark Eldar warriors, and you are dead. So I charge in, I get Furious Charge and Toxin Sack, so the poison attacks, because the Turbogons are nearby, which is really nice. They're charging in right here too, also getting Furious Charge because of the Turbogon that's nearby, and poison attacks, because I managed to keep some of my Termagants within 6 inches, because it's such a long Congo line there. So now I get all my attacks, 2 attacks from each of them, hitting on 4s, wounding on 4s, re-rolling. And you can see there's lots of dice there, lots of rolling. Get to re-roll, thankfully, because I missed a lot of them. But he does get his 6+ saves, which is he rolled pretty well, and he does get Feel No Pain. But you can see there's still a bunch that died. I think about 7 or 8 of them died from that attack. And so this is pretty good for my Termagants, able to do that much damage. So now he's going to hit back. He only gets 1 attack each. Now they're hitting on 3s. And then they wound on 4s, and then I get my cover save, or my armor save, and my Feel No Pain, and I make it. So his one group does no damage, and now his homunculus or thingy, the homunculus or whatever, attacks and manages to kill 2 Termagants. And then his other squad, or the other half of the squad, are attacking. They only get a couple attacks, and he manages to kill 1 more, I believe. Then we compare initiative, because he loses, and he failed, and fails his leadership test, and he's going to run, and I overrun him, and that entire group of warriors is gone. So it's looking good for my right flank as I'm pushing through and doing lots of damage. I killed that entire group of warriors, injured the other group. Now I'm going to go against these Rax, see what I can do. I get to hit him first, because I am at initiative 5 on the charge, and do actually quite a few wounds. And he fails to save a bunch of them. He does get a lot of Feel No Pain, so he loses a couple guys. Then he hits back and does pretty well. He rolls pretty well and manages to... then I do get my saves, though. And this is where I do well. I only lose 1 guy. He fails his leadership, and I do not overrun him. And so he actually gets to fall back 7 inches away from my guys. And he manages to stay 6 inches away from everything else, so they will be able to regroup if he makes his leadership test. You can see him moving them around to different places to make sure he's not 6 inches away from my Termagants and everything else. So at the end of round 2 there, Tyranids finally did some damage after taking a lot of hits. You can see that on the right side, the Termagants are really pushing through and finally making some headway, along with a couple Turbogons. The left side isn't quite as strong. There are the 2 Trigons there, and there are a bunch of Termagants, but there's no more spawning happening, so that's really all that there is, and both of those Turbogons are hurt. So we'll see what happens there. The Doom Melantai right in the middle, just to provide a nice big juicy target for him. And we're going to have to wait to see what he decides to do, what he decides to prioritize, and see if he can come back from this. Remember, he does still have a bunch of his blood brides in one of his transports. So you're going to see those come out in round 3 and a lot of other blood and carnage. Stay tuned and see who wins.
Visit miniwargaming.com to see our videos 1 month early.